Hi guys, it's me, Kelly. Today's video is a more serious one. As you guys all know by now, a bitch has been going through it. And you know, I always want to be open about the shit that I go through because I want to help people. I want to make you guys feel less alone, and I also want to find people that I can relate to. Oh, I got some tea. So that's why I make these videos, and I've said it before, but whenever I'm sad, whenever I'm depressed, what I do is I go online and I try and find people who are feeling the same way as me, because being depressed or going through some type of mental illness can be very isolating because it's very stigmatized. It's something that's hard to talk about. So when I'm going through it, I want to feel less alone. I want to feel like someone gets it. So I always go on YouTube. I always go on TikTok or Reddit and see other people who are feeling the same way as me. Last month was Mental Health Awareness Month, but I think it's important to bring awareness to this all year round. I wanted to do a video for Mental Health Awareness Month, but I just wasn't feeling it. Last month was very tough for me. Extremely tough. I was in a pretty dark place, and I don't think very many people knew it. Because I just don't talk about this shit. Well, I think I did post a YouTube video. I have no idea, you guys. I'm always oversharing, which contradicts what I just said, that nobody knew it, but I overshare on the internet, and that's another way that I cope. But in real life, I just go about my business, and I act like nothing is wrong. And I think that is a survival tactic, because yeah, we do need to go about our days like if we want to survive and make money and live and, you know, do all that. But it all does catch up with you, and that's the case for me. So last month, I'm not gonna say it was hell, but it was purgatory. It was bad because I had quit my job, which wasn't healthy for me. The job wasn't, but afterwards I was thinking, what now? And I also was rejected from school. I've been wanting to go back to school for the longest. I don't want to cry, but I've been wanting to go back to school for the longest time. I want to do social media, and I want to do not mainstream, but I want to work for a company. I don't want to just do my own thing. I love doing my own thing, but I want to reach a wider audience. So I want to finish my degree in mass communications, journalism, emphasis on broadcast radio. And it's really hard to get into that field without a degree. I have an associate's, but I don't have a bachelor's. And I quit school because I was depressed. And now that I'm quote unquote doing better, I wanted to go back, but they said no. It has to do with money, and it has to do with like probation and stuff like that. So that was a big disappointment for me, because at first I was accepted and then I wasn't when it came to like transcript time. So that was a huge disappointment for me. Not a lot of things disappoint me at this point, but when I let myself want something, don't cry, bitch. I'm like Kim Kardashian when I cry, like ugly, you know, so I don't want to cry. But when I let myself want something and then I'm told no, it's pretty hard for me. I feel like I can finesse a situation. Girl, don't cry. But this one felt like I couldn't. It felt like this is it. Like, all you've been wanting since I got back has been to go back to school. That's what has been on my mind. And I felt like that was my out. I'm grateful that I was able to stay with my family, but I don't want to stay with him forever. I'm 25 and I want to move on with my life and do my own thing. And I'm a very independent person. Girl, don't cry. I'm not letting the tears fall. We are not messing up the makeup. But I'm a very independent person. And so this is so hard. Bitch, no. Getting that taken away from me because of my mental illness. Alright, we're gonna try and continue on without crying, but getting that taken away because of my mental illness and because I was just not in a good place was very hard for me. I moved out and I wanted to be gone. I wanted to spread my wings and fly. I wanted to meet people and see things, and I did. But I just wanted more life. Like, I wanted to not be here. And it's been really hard. It's been a hard year. Like, I came back in August. It's June now, so almost a whole year of living with my parents again. And that was just really hard for me, especially since I moved out when I was 18. I came back for maybe a year in between there, or two, on and off, but I wanted to be done when I went to Arizona. And then something really bad happened. I don't want to say it, but I was sexually assaulted in January, February, and the next day I started AmeriCorps. So I denied it. I went on with my program and I finished it. But the whole time I felt like I wasn't myself, and I don't want to say that broke me. I'm not broken. But it really put me down. And oh my god, this is so hard to talk about. I want love. I want to be open to it. But right now, it's just really hard because I've been hurt. And you know, I met some people, I met some guys, but I couldn't let them in. And so it's just been hard. I came back here to North Dakota and I got back with my ex because that was the last person that I was with before this situation happened. And that wasn't bad. That wasn't good either. But it was familiar, and I think moving home was familiar too. I needed that safety net. And I went back to my old job. I told you guys that, but I didn't really explain why, and I didn't really know why either. I was kind of on autopilot, and my therapist is always like, you did what you knew, you know? And I just don't think this serves me anymore. But I'm scared. I'm scared to move on. Baby, don't cry. I'm scared to move on because I don't know what's gonna happen. And I don't want to be hurt again. And I don't want to come back here again. I never want to feel as low as I felt. And I never want to feel like, you know, like this is it. I never want to feel like I'm not going to get better. But during May, and you know, that's kind of how I felt. And that's kind of how I feel now, I'm not going to lie. But I'm trying to have hope. And I'm trying to move on. Because I know that I have potential. I know that before that happened in Arizona that I was capable of doing things by myself. I was brave and I went out there. And you know what? I got hurt, but that could have happened here. That could have happened anywhere. Unfortunately, that wasn't the first time that had happened to me. But it was the most recent. And I think because I was sober when that happened, it's the one that I remember the most. Something else happened, but I was drunk, and we can talk about that another time. But it was in the back of my head, you know. I wanted to move on. I wanted to say, you know, fuck him, he's not like a good person, or I didn't like that experience. But the truth is that it wasn't consent, you know. So that being said, everything built up within me, especially during quarantine. I had a lot of time to think, and I just, you know, my mind spiraled into all the dark things that have happened in my life, all the bad things that have happened in my life. I have been depressed before. I had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder before. So I've been through some dark times. I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Yeah, because, you know, during quarantine I work from home, so I finally got a moment where I wasn't in that routine of going to work, commuting. I didn't have time to be sad while I was working or serving AmeriCorps. But yeah, when I was in quarantine, that's when everything started to hit me, and I enrolled in school, and I wasn't able to go fall semester because everything hit me, and because I was in a bad place, and because I needed to move home. I needed my health insurance, I needed to get on medication, and I needed to start going to therapy, and I think that's when I started to address everything. But the thing is that sometimes it gets hard before it gets better, and I want you guys all to know that so that you don't give up, especially if you've been through trauma or you have PTSD. Things can get difficult before it gets better, and that's just because you're processing everything that you have pushed away. And I think in May, I don't know why, but things hit me again, and it was really difficult. And that, with work and with school, was just not a good combination. I felt like, you know, I wanted to overcome, and I wanted to move on. Like, I don't want to be sad anymore. And I thought school was my out, but they said no. So where I'm at right now is I don't fucking know, you know. I'm just gonna hold it, might as well drink it. I have an interview in 4 hours for another AmeriCorps position. Because it's in social media, and that's maybe the only opportunity I have to get my foot in the door, besides doing my videos and everything. It's just they're not really getting traction. And I feel like I was really hurt by the program. I don't know if it was the program itself. I don't know if it's just I was in a bad place. I don't really know, but I'm hesitant because I don't want things to go bad again, and I don't want to feel how I felt. There was one night I just could not stop crying, and I don't cry very often, you guys. I really don't. I don't know what this is right now. But that night, it just, oh my god, it was so bad. I was so sad and drinking, and I invited somebody over who I thought was a friend, and then he said, when he left, he was very comforting when he was there, but when he left, he sent me a text, and it was like, it was really hard not to fuck you because of your outfit. I was literally just in pajamas, like, what the fuck? And then after that, it made me feel worse about myself because I was going through so much trauma. And then after that, it was hard to see my worth. Girl, don't cry. I felt like guys just see me as this like piece of freaking meat to pass around, hot potato. And I felt like my friends just see me as the funny friend, and I feel like my family sees me as a fuck up. Now, none of that is true. And so that's what I have to remind myself. And it's really hard though when you're in it. But depression will lie to you and tell you all these things. Tell you, tell you this is the end. That's the kind of things I was thinking, is that there's nothing left for me. Everything I wanted to do is gone. It's out of reach, and I didn't know my way. So I thought that I was a fuck up, and I felt like that I couldn't get my old self back. And I feel like, I don't know, I felt like I just missed who I used to be, the adventurous, fun, happy person. I felt like my happiness was always so fleeting, only here for a little bit and then gone, because I've been dealing with depression, like I said, and it always comes back around, and I just felt like it's gonna be here forever. But you have to remind yourself, and I have to remind myself, that's not true. Things do get better, and I have to remind myself that things have gotten better in the past, and yes, they do get worse again, but that's life. Nobody has a life that's perfect all the time. Nobody just never has bad things happen, and it's not fair. I felt like I deserved what happened to me, and I felt like I took responsibility for not being able to go back to school, but I left out the depression factor. I left out that I just couldn't do school at the moment when I dropped out the first time. I just thought, you're a bad student, like blah blah blah, school's not for you. But I didn't remember that I was feeling low. I was feeling how I've been feeling. I just kind of left that out, and I feel mad at myself sometimes. I feel like I need to pick myself up and dust myself off and get on with the show, and I'm gonna do that. But first, you need to let it the fuck out. So that's my story. That's as raw as I can be, you guys. I don't know what's happening, I don't know what's happening, and I am really fucking scared. Like, really fucking scared. And it sucks. And it sucks because I can't sit here and say that nothing bad's ever gonna happen again. I can't sit here and say I'm not gonna get hurt again. Because this is life, and because this is not fair. But I can sit here and say that good things are coming, because they always come. I have some very amazing people in my life, and that is why I hold on, That's why I hold on. I'm not ready to leave them yet. And some days, that's the only reason why. It's a good enough reason for me. And so, I continue. I want to see the good. I want to see what's next for me, even though it feels like nothing is. But yeah, that's my story. And I want to say I'm okay now, But the thing is, I'm not. Clearly. But I can say that I am going to be okay. And I think that's very empowering, you know? I think that a lot of the times, when I talk about stuff like this, and I've talked about this so many times in the past on my channel and on Twitter, I always want to make it like an inspirational story or a story where I overcome. But the difference is right now, I'm in the middle of it. Like, I'm in the process of overcoming all this. So I can't sit here and say, I'm okay now though, after that whole fucked up year and month. But I can say that I will be okay because I still have faith and I still remember the good times, and it's so good to remember the good times. So yeah. Yeah. But anyways, I wanted to make this video because I want to also empower you guys who are going through this, because I know so many people are going through this right now, not just me. And I want you guys to know that it's okay to be disappointed and that disappointments come, but something better always happens. And I've had a lot of rejection recently. I applied for some jobs. I didn't get a single one of them. But for me, I'm trying to look at it like that was not meant for me. And that's okay, because what's meant for me will come. And so you have to think positively. Even though I know it's hard, you have to change your mindset. You can't stay feeling defeated. You can feel defeated. You can, and that's okay, and that's normal. So I want to make it clear that negative emotions are fine and they're normal. And so don't shame yourself for them, and don't hold it in, because when you hold it in, you end up like me. Crying over things that happened 6 months ago because it hits you, you know. But live in the moment, feel how you feel, because you have to. Yeah. So yeah, but what to do when you feel this way? You need to find an outlet. You need to find a way to talk about it. Otherwise you bottle it in, you feel worse and worse and worse. So find an outlet, whether it's writing, and I like to do that. If you don't like that, try another art form. Art is amazing. Try singing, try painting, try something like that. Make a YouTube channel. That helps me a lot, like a lot. You know, if you're shy, I don't know, talk to a friend, talk to somebody you trust, you know. I've started opening up more to friends and to family about this mess. And I think people appreciate you being honest with them, because they feel the same way sometimes. You're not alone, is what I've realized. So yeah, you have to share. You have to. Therapy's great. It might not be for everybody, but I do recommend trying it, because it does help you see things from a different perspective. Because yeah, it's hard to see when you're in the middle of it. It really is. Like they say, it's like a fog. It truly is like a fog. So do that. I recommend meditation, but find your own form, you know. It doesn't just have to be like you know. You can listen to music for a little bit. You can go outside, sit in the fresh air, you know. I really recommend going outside. I really do, especially if you live in a place where it's like warm. Because, you know, nature it's just good for us, you know. we shouldn't be boxed in all day long. I recommend going for walks, getting moving, smelling the flowers. I know that sounds really cheesy, but it's really important, and it's really hard to leave your house when you're in the middle of all this shit too. But what I like to remind myself is that I will feel better later. I will feel so much better later. Sunlight is so important, you guys. It's so important. Do that. I like to read. I like to read stories about people who are going through things like me and who aren't going through things like me. I feel like other people's stories of their trials and tribulations, even if they're different than mine, it helps me gain perspective, and it helps me to know that I'm not the only one struggling. And I like to listen to audiobooks, because I don't always like to sit down. I can be a little bit restless. So I like to listen to audiobooks, and it's also nice to hear somebody's voice, especially if you're very lonely like me. I don't have a lot of friends. It's nice to hear those voices. And I recommend Scrib, spelling me now, SCRIB. It's only $10 a month. Audible is not good because you only get one book and it's like $20 or some shit. Scribd is $10. You can listen to all the books you want. So I really recommend that. If you're not like the literature type of, I don't even listen to anything fancy. I listen to young adult fiction, but you know, and memoirs sometimes. But that's about it for me. But I love it. I recommend podcasts too, just because there's something for everybody. I like ones that make me laugh. I like Nicole Byer a lot. Why Won't You Date Me? Best Friends this year. I Date Your Fiance, if you watch that. I like Lacey Mosley, Scam Goddess. It's so funny. I like Live Your Life Queen. I have a lot of good advice on there. Jessie Botafuco and Chelsea. I don't know her last name. And I really like Don't Blame Me with Megan Rinks and Melissa DeMons. And yeah, those are like my main ones that I listen to. But I really like them. Frenemies, Trisha and Ethan. And those are like my friends. But yeah, like listen, you know. And it takes your mind off of your own problems too, which is really good. My mom always is like, don't dwell. It's so annoying, but it's true, you know. Also, give yourself time to feel sad. Like, say, okay, for 20 minutes, I'm gonna be sad, I'm gonna cry. And then, you know, move on. Like, listen, put on the podcast, put on the music, you know. It does help you feel better. At least it helps me feel better. Talk to your friends. I think I mentioned that. Plan outings. Always have something to look forward to. Always have something going on in the week scheduled, because that'll give you motivation to keep living. I know it sounds dark, but I don't know. Thinking about the future is good. And I think the reason I was so sad was because I felt like I have no future, even though it's not true. I'll figure it out, but plan stuff in advance, so then you can look at your calendar and say, oh yeah, I have this to look forward to. You know, I'm gonna go out with my friends on this day. I'm going on vacation on this day. That's another thing, is that if you have the means to, plan trips. You know, it doesn't have to be far. You could go to the town over if you want. But plan stuff like that. Get out of your regular world routine. Get out of your scenery, you know. Have a little change of scenery, change of pace. If you can. I know it's hard. But yeah, even if you can't afford a vacation, go to a different part of town, even, you know. Explore. Like, it's good for you. Do that, you know. And that's kind of how I keep going, even though clearly I'm very upset. You know, medication does help, but it can't fix everything, especially if you have a situation. Like, I have a situation. I'm on mood stabilizers, I'm on antidepressants, anti-anxiety, and it does help with that. But nothing breaks like a heart. Miley Cyrus. Sometimes there are situations that are just too much, you know, to handle, but I feel like if I wasn't on them, I would really go off the deep end, which I haven't, so that's good. Yeah, what else? Exercise, no one's hard, but it's good for you. I'm on like a plan, and then that gives me a challenge every day, you know? It's not the same old routine, it's like I'm challenging myself. And the pain I'm feeling isn't emotional, it's physical, but I'm not hurting myself, you know? I'm like getting stronger, and you know, yeah. So yeah, that's like the main things that I recommend. If you're depressed, that's my story, and that's like an update, I guess, of my situation. I will see where I go from here. I want to stay positive and empowered. Oh, and spirituality is also very important. I consider myself a spiritual person. I consider myself, well, I'm of Jewish heritage, and I consider myself a Jew, Reformed, but I don't go to synagogue. And yeah, I just celebrate the holidays and pray to God. But I'm also into like tarot, astrology, like all this shit. I know it's like woo out there, but it's like more popular recently, but I've been in it before it was popular. But yeah, like find something that helps you connect with the universe and with life. Even if you're an atheist, you know what I'm saying? Like find something that, you know, gives you meaning and purpose. Find something bigger than yourself, because it really does bring you comfort in the hard times, and it just, yeah, it makes you feel like there's a bigger picture. It's not just you and your problems, but there is, you're a part of something more bigger. I don't know how to explain it. You're a part of something bigger, and there's things, you know, that happen for the greater good. Not to say that we go through all this bullshit, or someone makes us go through all this bullshit, like a god or something. I don't believe that, but I believe that, you know, we can have some guidance, we can have some comfort, some peace brought to us by a higher power, and we can connect to that higher power for support when we do have our hearts broken. So, yeah, spirituality, exercise, friendship, hobbies, podcasts, like those are what I recommend. Cry, freaking scream. I did that the other day. Oh, listen to music, find an artist who you relate to, and just know that I'm here too. You know, I'm going through it too. You're not going through this shit alone, and it'll all be okay, you know. So yeah. Thank you for watching and letting me open up and giving me the space to. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Hopefully happier. Yeah.